Lee Iacocca says, you can have brilliant ideas, but if you can't get your ideas across, your ideas won't get you anywhere. Leader presence is all about how you deliver your message. And we're so glad that you're joining us today. My name is Kevin Karshnick. Bill Krieger will be joining me as we co-facilitate today's session. And if you think about how you communicate your ideas, we do it every day. Now, over the last couple of weeks, we've been doing them a lot more over conference calls. We've been on a lot of conference calls, maybe Zoom, maybe Skype, maybe WebEx. We're using Adobe Connect today. Back in the day, you remember back in the day when we had team meetings and we'd meet in person and we could be closer than 6 feet. And we would have one-on-one conversations and we used to be able to shake hands. And then there's those big times when we're in front of a large audience presenting our ideas. Every day, we're in situations where we communicate and our leader presence will either help us or hurt us.
Hey, I'm Bill Krieger. I'll be co-hosting with Kevin. And Kevin, what have we been doing this? We've been doing this for like 77 years, haven't we? I mean, if you look at my picture, that's probably true. Actuality, I've been with iSpeak for about 10, known Kevin for that long, and boy, we've had a great time of really helping people to build stronger relationships through effective communication. And we're super excited about what just happened here with this webinar. Kevin's right, about 72 hours out, and we had this thing booked solid. And I'm looking at our participants list, and it just keeps going and going and going. And I want to give a shout out certainly to some of our special guests that are with us. I mean, we want to welcome our Dish folks, our Bear folks, USAA. I'm in San Antonio, so USAA. Thank you for being on with us. Essity, Dell, of course, where we have in Round Rock, Texas, our headquarters right there by Dell headquarters, and we're glad they're here. We know we have a number of people that are coming from even one particular company, and so we're thrilled to have you here. Kevin, I'm going to back up a little bit because I want to make sure I'm not too close to you, and get that to stay in that 6 foot range, because I know how you are, buddy. Yeah, you got to stay back. Hey, we're going to have, Kevin and I are going to run this show, but we need to hear from you also. Yeah, stay back, buddy. We're looking for your questions, your comments, your feedback. Use the chat window to do that, and just jump in there. Kevin and I will kind of keep an eye on it and see what we can do, and we'll get some feedback from you for sure.
The chat window won't be available.
The other thing go ahead,
The
Kevin.
chat window won't be available all the time, but when we put it on the screen, jump in, ask questions, we'll see them. Give us comments, give us feedback as we're going through the webcast, for sure.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Kevin. Yeah, and so you can just jump in there, shoot us a question, make a comment. We'll do our best to address that as quickly as we can when we flash that up so you can use that feature. And of course, the other thing, and Kevin, let's go ahead and put it up and give them a chance to kind of use it here. One of the things I would like to hear real quick, because I know there's a bunch of us on, but where in the world are you from? I mean, I'm in San Antonio, and I think, Kevin, you're up in
Georgetown, Texas.
Where in the heck are you from, Kevin? Okay.
Yes. Georgetown, Texas for me. So we got.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes when somebody asks me that, my kids and grandkids will jump in and say, I'm from the zoo. Thanks a lot for that, group. Yes. Hey, we've got Los Angeles. We've got Kenya. Look at this. This is fantastic. Michigan, Louisiana, Ireland. Absolutely incredible. Steve, you're having some audio issues. Anyone else having some audio issues? Everybody's seeing and hearing us okay?
Yeah, a couple people are saying that.
Yeah,
So
my
there's
yeah,
two
okay.
sides of that. There's the side where
Uh,
we're having a bandwidth issue, or if you're having a bandwidth issue, and we know bandwidth issues right now are crazy because everybody's doing virtual sessions.
yeah. Yeah, I wish the bandwidth issue would be like my belt width issue. It just keep expanding, and we wouldn't have any trouble, right? uh, hey, and I'm Carrie. I'm seeing Carrie Russin. I'm seeing that my volume is a little higher than Kevin's. Is my volume too high, Carrie? Do I need to turn it down? Does Kevin need to turn his up? What's your
That
thought
means I got
there?
to sit up straight and really project my voice. I'm not normally used to that, Bill.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Well, we
Absolutely.
appreciate you guys. We've got Ireland, we've got people from around the globe, Kenya, and we've got somebody from the country of New Jersey. Carl, thanks for joining us from that country. Kidding. We are really glad you guys are here, and we're excited. Bill, tell them about what we're going to be doing here for the next 50 minutes.
Hey, we're going to be taking a look at several things, and so it is a fun-packed 50 minutes, no doubt about it. We're going to take a look at what is leader presence. I mean, you probably have some ideas. My thought is, with the several hundred folks that are on, we'd all have something different to say about it. So we'll come up with a basic understanding of what that is, and we'll move forward. Then we want to take a look at what our authenticity is. It's what the audience is looking for. We need to discover it within ourselves. We'll also understand communication channels, what they are, and how we can use them to have a congruent message. We also want to look at the power in your voice, and right now I'm sounding very close. Kevin sounds like he's on another planet, so we'll fix that. We'll also align your body language to all of it. We don't want body language that's going to become a distraction to your message. We want body language that actually solidifies what you're saying. And then, of course, we're going to talk a little bit about what else is coming up with some iSpeak webinars as we're all in this quarantine at home. And we're all learning how to be, partners, employees, dads, moms, all of that at the same time, and that's pretty fun. And especially since the kids are home too, that's always a struggle.
Well, let's get started then with the definition. And Bill, I like your setup to this, and I'm going to leave my video off to see if that maybe helps with the projection and the sound for just a second. But you've got a great definition as we talk about confidence, approachability, and vision, and you call these what?
These are our three pillars of leadership. And yeah, thank you for leaving my video up and yours off, because I'm a much better looking presenter. So we'll stick with that. Yeah, the three pillars of leadership and group. I know sometimes we might be thinking, well, I don't have a leadership role. I'm a project manager. Nobody's really, reporting directly to me. Anytime you are standing in front of a group of people and communicating, you're in a leadership role. And what is it that the audience is looking for? There's a lot of definitions and literature about leadership. I like it in just these three simple pillars. Your audience is wanting to see someone who is confident. Now, as I say that, be thinking in your own mind, what does that look like? What does it mean to be confident, and how can I see it, hear it, feel it from the person who is communicating? Confident. We also want somebody who's approachable. Now, confident in a lot of cases will mean that you know what you're talking about. But we also need intellectual humility. There's a lot of bright, confident people, but nobody wants to go talk to them because it doesn't feel safe to do so. So we also need to be approachable. I need to create an environment where it's safe and I am willing to listen and be influenced by what you have to say. And the third pillar, of course, is being visionary. This is someone who can see what maybe we cannot, that has experience, expertise, that is organized in their thoughts and can lay it out so that I can begin to see what they see and can avoid the pitfalls from their experiences. Kevin, there's our three pillars: confident, approachable, visionary.
About them a little bit further. Let's kind of dive into that and discuss what those look like. And I'm going to be asking you guys to jump to the chat window here next and tell me, who do you think of? And that can be a fictional or a real person. It can be at home and it could be at work. It could be at church, that you think brings all three of the characteristics together. Confidence, I think of Gordon Gekko. Right away, I'm thinking of the movie Wall Street, and I think about how confident he is. And Bill just talked about approachability. I don't think he was very approachable. And so he doesn't have all three of the characteristics, all three of the pillars that Bill just described, but he definitely shows confidence. And so we want somebody who can stand up in front of a room, who one-on-one can have that conversation on a conference call, on a Zoom call, can show that confidence. At the same time, we want to be able to balance that with somebody who's approachable. Now, when somebody is too confident, I think they come across arrogant. I think they come across condescending. And Bill, you do know what condescending sounds like, don't you? I was trying to be condescending with that comment. I'm not sure how well that played out. But
Sure do. That's why I say there has to be some kind of intellectual humility. Otherwise, you are very condescending, right? Well, I'm feeling pretty bad about it right now. My feelings are hurt, and I'll probably just log out here in a minute.
all right, well then I'll catch you later. I'll pick up the rest of the webcast. So we don't want somebody to come across arrogant. We don't want somebody to be condescending, and that's too confident. So we want to balance it with their approachability, likability, personal, how they connect with their audience. And I think of Tom Hanks. I think he's very approachable. Now, to an extreme, let's say there's somebody in your office who's very approachable, but not very confident. What happens to them in a meeting? I feel like they get walked all over. I feel like they get interrupted in a meeting. They get sidetracked very easily because the audience takes over. That's where they need to increase their confidence when they're presenting, because they're too approachable. This is where the balance comes in. When I think of vision, and there's lots of visionaries out there, Michael Dell, I think of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, and there's a bunch of them. I think of Jeff because of the vision that he had for what Amazon could be and where
Yeah,
they
I
could
mean,
be
Kevin,
now and how they're helping
off.
us
They
in
started
much in
off
this
selling
crisis.
books. Do you remember?
And
That's
so
what
that person,
Amazon was. Was to get a book. Now yeah, you can buy
yeah,
everything.
I mean, it is everything. And I have this comment, and I'm finding it here right now as we talk. Jeff Bezos in 1997 wrote a letter to his shareholders, and he reminded them of it a couple of years ago when they celebrated their 20-year anniversary. In the letter, he says, Amazon is all about value, convenience, and selection. And he said 20 years later, that's still our mission, those three things: the value, convenience, and selection. So I want to go back to the chat and I want to ask you guys. I just gave you mine. Those were my examples of people that had each of those. But if you put all three together and you said presence, who shows leader presence at your home, at your office, at your church? Who do you think of? And it can be a fictional character. Maybe there's somebody from a movie or a TV show. I had somebody tell me in a class recently that Miss Maisel from the Marvelous Miss Maisel TV show, that she represented leader presence. So I want to go to the chat window and I want to see if we can get you guys to tell us some of your favorites. Who brings all three of those characteristics together? I'm bringing Michael Dell and Oprah out thinking that they've got confidence, approachability, and vision. Who are you guys thinking? Bill put my name in there, so I'm going to put Bill's name
Look
in
at
there.
that, Joe Robles
Second,
out of USAA. Boy, I like
we've
that
got a
one.
couple of very much so. For those, yes, that are familiar with USAA, yes, absolutely, Joe is leader present. Colin Powell. Janice is talking about the CEO of Jabil. Keith Franklin is saying Tracy St. House has coordinated these webcasts. T. Burke is saying, sorry, there's no first initial or first name, so it just says T. Burke 2. I like that name, T. Burke 2. That could be your rap label title, T. Burke 2. Said Michael Dell and Tim Cook.
Hey, look at Mercedes, who's got us doing Picard from Star Trek, USS Enterprise. Hey, Mercedes, are you watching that Picard series, by the way? Do you like it?
Yeah, and David talked about Mark Cuban. Absolutely love. I mean, I just listened to Mark Cuban on a podcast the other day, and absolutely is showing all three of those. So we've got a couple of Colin Powell references. Joe, hey Joe, good to see you and talk to you. Bill Clinton references, again, taking the politics out of it and being able to focus on the characteristics themselves. And so we've got some really, really great answers in here. And so that leads us to what's next. So we understand the definition of leader presence, understanding the confidence, the approachability, and the vision. And then we need to layer in the next part, which is authenticity. And we're going to be talking a lot about that, Bill, when we dive into the words, the voice, and the body language in the second half of our webcast. But before we can get that, when people say, well, I need to be authentic and I need to be genuine, I don't want to be fake, what does this look like? How to explain authenticity for us?
Thank you, Kevin. And we're talking about wanting to be confident, approachable, and visionary. And these are things we cannot fake, group. I mean, you can tell when someone stands up and it's all just plastic. And it's not real, it's not genuine, and as a result, credibility is lost, believability is lost. This is not a leader. This is not someone you want to follow. And remember, if there are no followers, then there isn't a leader. So in this case, what we're looking for here is that what's on the outside should match what's on the inside of you. That we're real, we're genuine, we are authentic. In order to do that, we have to understand our core, right? It's not something we can fake. We need to know ourselves. We need to be seen as we see. Right, and that's an interesting thought, and let me repeat it. We need to be seen by others as we see ourselves, that they're one and the same. So what we're looking at here is what is at your core, right, at your core. And that's what we're looking at here. And we're talking about those things that are fundamentally important. What's at your core? Your core value is not something that changes or is situational. Your core values is how you decide what decisions you'll make and how you'll respond in certain scenarios. So we want to, it's very self-evident. It's purpose defining, the cornerstone or foundation of who you are. It's truth, and truth is timeless. So that's what we're looking at here is at this moment having you look inward, remove the mask, look inside. What's at my core that drives how I respond and act? Now, I have a slide here that's showing you several examples, and it's a very busy slide, but I wanted to give you some things to choose from. Take a look at that, see if it actually, brings something to mind that is one of yours, right? What is a What is one of your top core values? Now, it may be one that's not on my list, but I want you to
Bill, I
just
find this to
think
be
for a
difficult
moment. What
sometimes to
would be
really think
one
about
of
those because
your
there's so many words that are
top
jumping off this.
core
And the first thing I
values
went to the chat
that you
window
live
and I
by?
mistyped it, but
And then
I was
let's
saying
share it
make a
in your
positive
chat
difference with
again.
others. I feel like is at my core. And I know that's not on this list, but I'd have to go back and say, all right, what word does that come from? And finding out that I want to help others and be able to give back and be able to be all in when I'm communicating. And I feel like I hope that comes out in how I communicate. What about yours? Bill? I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, Kevin, because in the industry that you and I are both in, that's what we do. That's what drives us. And we've had conversations, the two of us, about paydays, right? When someone refers back to us saying, "Thank you for helping me open a door, communicate better, get noticed, solve an issue."
Yeah, we got some
Those are
great.
huge, huge paydays for us. So I'm with you on that one, of helping others to be successful. Lifting those around me
Integrity.
just
Deb
makes
being the
me
first to
feel
jump in there.
great.
Deb Tuttle, thanks for jumping in
Boy,
first.
we have some wonderful
Um,
ones here,
Deb
Kevin. Look at this.
Mazurka, I hope I'm not
Our group
butchering that
is
too
just
hard.
filling our
Self-respect.
chat
Carrie, hey
window.
Carrie. Rustin up in Dallas. Honesty, courage, others focus. I like that. Loyalty, a lot of honesty. We see that. Integrity, respect, service. Service is popping up there. Joe, thanks for sharing religion. Joe, on a side note, Joe has seen me preach on the weekends. I'll fill in for pastors on the weekends, and Joe's come and watched me preach on at a time or two. So, Joe, appreciate that. Having religion there as a core value, honesty, humility, reliability, just some great stuff there. So, understanding us first so that we can be authentic, we can be genuine when we are communicating with others. And that's going to then lead us to how. Now we're getting to the how. How do I deliver that to others in these different situations? And we're going to talk about our words, our voice, and our body language. And one of the keys to this is making sure that we are aligning the words, the voice, and the body language, creating this alignment when we are communicating. And again, this can be on a conference call with no video. It could be on a conference call with Zoom and we have video. It's in person or it's in front of a large group. How do you align your words? How do you make them congruent? Your words, your voice, and your body language so that what you're saying, how you say it, and how you look are all working together. Now, Bill, I want to hear from you because I know that you've got a great example of this, that when they're not together and we are sending what's called a mixed message to others, tell us about the research here on the slide from Dr. Albert Morabian.
Yeah, and this is so important to understand because, I mean, we just started talking about what's our core value. Now Kevin's leading us into, are those around you seeing that value? Does what you say, how you say it, and what they see align with your values? If they're not, then we're not authentic. So yes, and this is a study, and most people are looking at this pie chart, Kevin. I mean, so many of them have misinterpreted what we are talking about here, and it's not that 55% of all of our communication is is visual. No, it's only a certain type. This study came out of UCLA back in 1967 by Albert Morabian, and he's studying a very specific type of communication, not communication and a whole, but a very specific type. And that is a type of communication that is non-congruent. In other words, there are multiple messages being sent. I might, ask you to do something, and I do something different, right? We do it as parents, right? Don't do what I do. Do what I say. I mean, we've said that as parents. We've seen leaders try to say that, And it never works, right? Because your body language and what you do is what defines you so much. So there's this mixed message, this mixed message. And that creates a dilemma for the listener. In this case, they're hearing two things. They're hearing you say one thing and they're seeing you do something completely opposite. And they're like, okay, what does Bill really mean? And how do I decide what the real intent was of the communication? And that's where this study breaks it down into our three V's: the verbal, the vocal, and the visual. And it breaks down like this. 7% of the audience will listen specifically for the words. And okay, so what you said by words, that's where they're going. Look at the small minority that is. 38%, when there's this dilemma going on, they'll go to the vocal tone. How did you say it? How did you make me feel when I said it? And that's what we'll go to. Things like pauses, voice inflection, and so forth that punches certain words. They'll grab onto those, and that's what they'll believe. Yet 55 of us, and myself included in that 55, are that monkey see, monkey do, right? We're looking at what you're doing, and we're reading that. And at times, I'm so lean that way that I'm not even listening. I'm just watching you. I mean, if I'm telling you that I can complete the project on time, and you're questioning, Bill, can you really do it? And I'm giving you this. Yeah, we're going to finish on time. You can see that there's a double message being sent, and 55% are watching me swivel in my chair going, Bill's nervous. I don't think he's telling the truth. So again, if honesty and integrity is my core, my body language isn't showing it, and I'm also not showing the confidence that is needed to be successful.
Follow me. Now, I'm going to trust you guys to play along at home. We've got 100 people on with us. I want you to hold up 3 fingers. I trust you. This is the Boy Scout and Girl Scout symbol. And I want you to take the 3 fingers and I want you to put them on your chin. All right, everybody play along? Now, be honest with me. Did you put them on your chin or did you put them on your cheek? Be honest. Type in the chat window. What did you do? Carrie. Now, why did you, Carrie, you were the first to say that. Carl, you said cheek as well. A couple of you said cheek. Why did you put it on your cheek? Oh, hold on. Let me get my hand sanitizer. Too funny. Sorry.
We're not supposed to touch our face.
But why did you do that? Because you saw me.
What are you doing?
I sent you a mixed.
I'm going to get this sickness.
I said chin. I showed cheek. That's a mixed message. You had to quickly decide what I meant, and according to Dr. Albert Moravian's study, 55% of you would have gone to your cheek, not 100%. 55% would have done that because that's what you saw me do based on the mixed message that I sent. And so our job, again, is to align these to create this congruent message with our words, our voice, and our body language. Now, as we transition, we're going to talk about mixed messages, but we're also going to talk about distractions. All of us have them. Yeah. Please.
Yeah, hang on here, Kevin. Kevin, let me jump in here real quick because Keith Franklin has shared something with us that is very, very interesting in the chat, because when we don't have a visual, I mean, right now we were able to see you, they can see me. So even in this virtual classroom that we're in, you're getting my voice, you're getting my words, and you're seeing my body language. But often, right, Keith, we're not turning on webcams, and in this case, I can turn it off. And now it's just voice and words. So you're right. The pie chart actually changes. So conference calls, telephones, and so forth absolutely are different. Now you're showing a 70-30, and what we have seen is that it's a and Kevin, do you remember? Yeah, what those numbers were when it's no visual and it's a phone call. It's a 1684, and as you can see, that's even worse, but even 70-30 is crazy, isn't it? Yeah. So 16% are going to be listening to the words. 84% are listening to your vocal tone. If I give you on a call and I say, yeah, we're really excited about this new product and rollout. It's going to be a wonderful tool for our clients. I mean, we're really pumped. We're just thrilled. Now, you can see that all my words were I'm excited, we're thrilled, we're pumped, but my tone was showing you or telling you that I'm extremely bored with the whole thing and I don't want to do it. 84%, or as you said, Keith, 70% at best,
one of the recommendations
aren't believing a word of it. So yeah, good point. All right, go ahead, Kevin.
I'm not sure if I've ever spelled the word diaphragm before, but I put recommendation. Stand when you're presenting on a conference call. Why? Now, again, not with video, but I'm standing up. I've got my headset on and I'm standing because it opens up my diaphragm and helps me project a strong vocal. And so if you're not doing this, and I'm not saying stand for the whole conference call, stand during your portion while you're presenting, and you're going to find that your energy is up, your projection is up, because you're going to open up that diaphragm and really present a strong message. So Keith, thanks for bringing that comment up. And Bill, thanks for diving in and talking about it. So what I want to transition to then from that is the distractions that we see. And we're going to play a video clip here, and I'll post the YouTube link in the chat window in case anybody has any difficulties at all with it, that you'll be able to go back and still be able to see the YouTube video clip. So we're going to play this, and I want you to focus on the guy on the right because he's in an interview and he has a coffee stain on his shirt. And this commercial cracks me up. It's 30 seconds long. Every time he tries to answer a question in the interview, the coffee stain starts to talk and it rambles and it makes funny noises and it becomes a huge distraction. So here's the video clip.
So tell me about yourself.
Well, you know, an organized person, somebody who does not leave details out. I'm actually very, very good with groups. Group work. I've surpassed all my goals in my previous position, my prior job, and your competitor. My personality and me have surpassed their own goals.
Oh. Get famous at my talking stain.
I love that commercial. And I posted the link there in the YouTube if you want to go back and watch it. I've seen it now 1,000 times and I still laugh every time. What are those distractions that we see? Bill, you and I are seeing these all the time. We've coached tens of thousands of people over the years. And Bill wasn't too far off when he said we've been doing this for 77 years. This is my 30th year of teaching this year, 2020. I remember 1990 was the first time I'd ever stepped foot in a classroom. I was working at Dell in Round Rock, or actually in Austin, Texas at the time. And I had an opportunity to co-teach a workshop when I was 21 years old, fresh out of college. And I was hooked. I loved it. And I've been teaching ever since. So I've been doing it for 30 years. Bill, I think you've been doing it for a little over that. So we brought a lot of experience to you guys. We've seen people with a lot of distractions, words, lots of filler words, the ums, the uhs, the you knows. My new favorite filler word that I hear in business now, right. Do y'all hear it? Right? I'm gonna type that in the chat window. Right, with a question mark. And people and leaders are doing this. They're ending their sentences with it, right? And they're getting head nods and they're getting confirmation, but done too much in a presentation, it starts to turn into a major distraction. So we see a lot of filler words. People who talk too slow can also be a vocal problem. Have you ever seen that? And you're just wanting the person to speed up. But then on the other side, you talk about somebody who's going to talk really fast, and I'm going to talk through a lot of information. We can talk about how the whole presentation process can work. It's really broken down to how to prepare and how to develop and how to deliver. You put all the message together. You talk about preparation. Make sure that you know your purpose and you know what you want your audience to know, feel, and do. And you got to know who your audience is. Who are they? What do they know? How much do they care? And you got to make sure your timings are right. Make sure that you plan for your Q&A. Make sure that the questions are going to be there. And then you're ready to develop the message. When you develop the message, you got to have a great opening. It's called CABA, credibility, attention, body, and audience. You got to bring all that together. We use the rule of three. We have the great structure with the 3 bonds. We're going to have a webinar called Message Builder that's coming up here in a couple of weeks where you'll be able to learn how to structure the body. Then you close with MOS, which is memorable action and summary. You bring all together, storyboard your slides, and then you bring your slides together, make some great visuals. We got a webinar coming up on that called visual storytelling. You're going to get through the visuals, and then you're going to be able to deliver it, and you make sure you synchronize your words, your voice, and body language, put it all together, and then you delivered it, and you've done it really fast. Bill, can you take over and cover the rest of this? I need to get a breath.
I think you pretty well covered it, buddy. Joe, you're killing me. That's my wife. Yes, and there's the struggle with speed, is that not that we can't pick up the words, it's that there's no time to think or process or to even create any emotion other than we're just dumbfounded by your ability to do it, Kevin. I'm thinking you need a new career at the end of commercials to talk about all the legal stuff about it, right? Or if you remember that old Micro Machine commercial, it's not Micro Machine, it's not the real thing. Yeah, you got to breathe. Yeah, you've got to breathe. So yeah, speed, pauses, projection, all of that is absolutely key for your audience to understand what it is that you're wanting us to know. Body language is the other one group, and this is usually one we don't think much about, and we don't even realize what our body is doing when we're up there. We know that standing to speak in front of people is one of the top fears that we actually deal with. I mean, maybe it's a coronavirus that right now is at the top of the list, but I'll tell you, not far from it. And before the virus came, it was standing speak in public was either 1 or 2. My wife had on the local news, and they said public speaking was the #1 greatest fear we deal with. And it manifests itself in the filler words, or maybe we're too quick, or in body language where we start fidgeting and we're doing some spinning around and so forth. And we want to make sure all of that is in alignment with each other and congruent. That what people see is what's at our core and our values. Now, what I love about this study from UCLA is that Dr. Albert Moravian has taken communication and broken it down into the 3 V's, the verbal, the vocal, and the visual. So let's take a look at each of those and see how we can improve and get rid of the talking stains, right? The talking stains. So let's take a look at filler words. And I know that many of you said you've picked up the habits, you use them. I start counting them when I hear somebody use them. They don't even have to be words. A great speaker that I have loved and still do, he smacks his lips when he talks. Almost like kissing the camera. Hey, fans. Yes. And he does it. I mean, he's usually at a microphone, and holy cow, I'm just counting them, and I'm not hearing anything else they're saying. The key is not that we do them, but how do we get rid of them? Yeah, that's the key. Telling you to stop doing it isn't going to work, because you'll just go into your presentation thinking, don't say, and guess what you're going to say. So we're going to focus on something else. When we're speaking and we're finding these filler words, they're coming at the end of a thought and before the next one, which when we write, that's where punctuation goes. In my mind, we're just giving sound to punctuation. And what sound needs to be there is no sound, right? It's a pause. So yeah, we're gonna be aware that we're using it, and I would suggest use your smart device, record yourself, audio record yourself, or you can video it. But I want you to focus on the voice, so do an audio recording and just listen for them. Once you hear them, then replace them with silence, and that means we've got to get comfortable with silence. Now, Kevin and I aren't asking you to be silent for a long period of time, especially on a conference call. They'll think they've gotten disconnected. We're talking 1, 2, maybe 3 seconds. So we're going to get comfortable with the silence and replace all the fillers with that pause. All right, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to slow down. And usually what happens is there's a disconnect between cognitive and the vocal box, and it's just not, and we get so totally messed up. Everything gets ahead of the other one. We want to slow it down. Now, I know in different parts of the world, the rate of delivery of our language can be different. Almost always when we want to really emphasize something, really emphasize it, to make it stand out, we slow it down just like that. And using those pauses, so slow down. All right, and then of course, one of the things I'll invite you to do is to read out loud. Now, your audience doesn't want you to read out loud to them. We hate that. Don't read your slides. We know that's terrible. What I'm asking of you here is that when you are reading your favorite blog, your favorite news, your favorite book, take several pages and just read out loud to yourself. Yeah, this is going to train you to listen to your own voice as it escapes your lips. Most of the time, we hear ourselves cognitively. We're not hearing what's coming out of here. And I need you to start hearing what's really flowing out of your mouth. That's what your audience is hearing. Also, when we write in good sentence structure and great punctuation. And we're now using that when I speak, and it's teaching me to do it much, much better. So your challenge is to eliminate them as much as possible. Yes, we can use a filler. There are times when it would be correct. The struggle is too often can be a huge talking stain and show no confidence.
Bill, I want to, hey, Bill, yeah, before we move on, I was going to say, I wanted to share with you that I had gone to an orthodontist a couple of years ago. And
show no approachability because you don't know what you're talking about. And so I would suggest let's move to eliminate, and then if a few sneak in, nobody cares.
$24.95 on Amazon. I was just kidding.
All right, well, yeah, go ahead.
Orthodontist gave me this thing called the Rainbow Passage to read out loud. And what I really liked about that, and I didn't understand why he wanted me to read about rainbows, but what it was is that all the mouth movements and all the sounds of the English language are built into the Rainbow Passage. So if you're going to practice reading out loud, that's a great thing to practice, and not only work on articulation and clarity, but also will work on eliminating your filler words. So I wanted to use that. Yeah, no doubt. Well, I wanted to use that to talk about our voice, and as we go next into
very good, Kevin. Yeah, very good. I think the other thing that can work is what Keith is showing us, the shot collar. That certainly can work. If you do the Toastmasters, they might ring a bell. It certainly would be less painful.
I've never done that before. So we want to incorporate in those pauses. We want to incorporate in slowing down, like Bill was talking about, not just to eliminate our filler words, but also to help us deliver the message better. And so we're going to slow down, work on not talking too fast. This is a visual example of what I just did earlier. If you think about taking out all the spaces, all the paragraph breaks on how we communicate, this is what it would look like. Almost impossible for somebody to want to read it. Almost impossible for you to pick up on everything I'd said earlier when I was talking 100 miles an hour. And so we want to think about landing those good pauses, 1 to 3 seconds, depending on the impact that we want with our audience, adjusting our pace. And I say adjust because I can speed up like I'm going to do right now to create some excitement or some enthusiasm about what we're going to do next. And then I can slow down and put emphasis on something that's really important. And so when we put that variety into our voice, and that's what Bill and I coach when we're in the class, is vocal variety. We want to be able to incorporate that in, again, in any conversation, one-on-one, Skype meetings, standing in front of a group, or sitting around a table at a team meeting. We want to bring all of this in. And one of the exercises that we use, and I'm going to have all of you try that right now, is Bill and I's favorite warm-up, Irish wristwatch. It's a warm-up, and I want you to try it, and I want you to do it out loud, right at your desk, right here, right now, 5 times out loud. And I'll do it right now too. Irish wristwatch, Irish wristwatch, Irish wristwatch, Irish wristwatch, Irish wristwatch, Irish wristwatch. Try it. Harder than you think. I'm trusting that you guys are doing that. There's a lot of different tongue twisters that you can use. But the overall takeaway is what? And I want you to think about what you had to do in order to get it out right. You probably had to slow down. That's a good thing to do before we're going to speak somewhere. You probably had to focus on what you were going to say. T-Berg just said, think and slow down. So it focused you. You had to think about what you were going to say. You had to slow down when you say it. And I could almost guarantee you that you probably were laughing a little bit when you did it. And if you're laughing a little bit when you did it, and we were just talking about it, I think Carrie had brought this up earlier about Bill, that you could hear the smile in his voice. Well, when you're smiling, it'll come across on a phone conversation. People will see it, and that might be the body language that you're looking to portray in some particular message. And so makes you think, makes you slow down, and it puts a smile on your face so that you've got this great first impression before you go to present. And then that's going to lead us to body language, talking about how we align our posture, our hand gestures, our facial expressions with our words and with the vocals, the how we say it. So Bill, walk us through this. I love this example here, and we'll just kind of focus on the visuals here for just a second in terms of the ladies.
All right. So yeah, let me do this, and I'm gonna back it up here just a minute because I want to set this up, group. And here's what I want to think. I'm going to show you a picture of our boss. This is going to be our boss. And as you look at this picture, is this a good day to approach the boss and ask for a favor, something extra? Maybe get off work early, get out of an assignment, not turn in an update, whatever, a TPS report, whatever. Is this a good day to ask for a favor? Here's the boss. You can go to let's go to our chat window. Kevin, can you get us back into our chat? I'd like to see what people have to say about this. Tiffany, thank you for saying no. Yes. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Everybody's jumping in, so we're pretty straightforward on this. I actually showed this to a group of women who were right in the same age bracket, and they all said, "Oh, she looks fine." And I went, "Okay, I'm just let it sit for a while." And then pretty soon one lady said, "I look like that every day." And again, I didn't say anything. I just let them think about it. And then she followed up with, "Nobody wants to talk to me." Bingo! Yeah. Now, I don't think she's angry. I don't think that, she's not a nice person. I'm just saying this probably isn't the moment I would want to go to her. And some of you are saying that she appears unapproachable, right? And Joe, you're saying the eyes speak 1,000 words, and they are, right? Yeah, and I like this negative forced smile, no hands crossed. I mean, arms are crossed. Yeah, this is not a great day to do it. Now, notice that she hasn't said a word, nor have we heard anything about her voice inflection that Kevin just taught us. All it is body language. And if she was saying to us, "I would love to hear what you all have to say about this new policy," we would all go, "No, you don't," right? At least 55% of us. All right, so let's try something else here, group. And arms crossed, the head down, looking, and the chin down, and the head turned slightly to her dominant eye. Shoulders are tipped because she's leaning to one side. Maybe there's a foot tapping also. All right, so let's try this one. Good day, bad day. What would you say? Okay, yeah, so what makes the difference? Her arms are crossed also. So why is this one a good day? Okay, good, I'm seeing it. A smile, she's smiling. Yeah, those of you that are familiar with How to Win Friends and Influence People by Carnegie, right? Dale Carnegie. Smile is in the top 5 things to actually make that happen, to influence others and to win people over. The smile is just so inviting. But remember, it has to be authentic, which is, again, taking us back into our core. All right, so some other body language kinds of things. We want facial expressions, but we've got to be careful with those facial expressions. Remember, they need to be authentic, not forced. There are 7 universal facial expressions. And this is what all the experts are telling us. There are 7 that are universal, that regardless of our culture, our language, our upbringing, or whatever, we all read these 7 expressions. And here they are. So smiling, sadness, contempt, surprise, fear, disgust, anger. Yeah, these are all examples that you can read it. Now, when I was at one of our clients and doing this course, one of the participants came up and said, "Bill, my son was born completely deaf. And as he's growing, we're teaching him ASL and American Sign Language. Mom and Dad, we're learning it also. And he can read our body language perfectly. And he's just a little boy." His question to me was, how does he know how to do that? We haven't taught him any of it. And he gets it right every time. Well, that's the question for the great minds of and those who study human behavior. But they are universal, group. They are universal. So practice. The face can really hold the attention and make sure that it's doing it. Hand gestures are important because they'll also affect the voice. It is very hard for you to be monotone when your hands are being engaging. Now, we want appropriate, right? I want appropriate hand gestures. I have my Italian friends say I use my hands too much. And I'm going to tell you, no. Study with TED Talks, those of you that do TED Talks, those TED Talks that are most watched use twice as many hand gestures as those who are least watched. So use your hands. We just want to use them effectively. And make sure they just match the message that you're dealing with. When the hands start doing things that don't really match what you're talking about, now they're that talking stain, and which is what I'm doing now. Yes, Amy Cuddy is a great one to go to. Yeah, there are lots of different hand gestures. The hand up, of course, is most inviting. This one, very assertive. Hand down is a very strong gesture. We're only going this far. No more comments, please. The finger point, very, very accusatory.
The exercise
just make sure
we do
that
this exercise in some of our classes, and we can challenge our audience today to do it. And that is, how do you practice this? How do you practice your leader presence? I don't have time. I'm so busy. We're checking emails. Well, we've got a great, simple, short exercise that we use to do this. And what we do is we find quotes. So find some of your favorite quotes. Now, not too short, because you want to be able to practice all the things that we're doing. But here's a simple short quote from Walt Disney. If you can dream it, you can do it. And you practice it. Now, I want to go back to Bill's comment with the phone. Video record yourself. Video record yourself saying these quotes. Go find some favorite quotes. Practice slowing down. Practice pauses. Practice facial expressions. Practice big gestures. Practice making sure that there's continuity and flow to the quote and not filling with filler words in between, because that'll happen. And so these are some of those exercises that we can do. So we want to challenge you guys as we're wrapping up this webcast for you to be able to go back and say, I want to practice this. How do I bring leader presence to my next conversation, my next presentation, or my next Zoom meeting? Practice small quotes. They're short. They don't take a lot of time. Record them, review them, and continue to get better. Now, Bill, we're going to wrap up. We've got about 60 seconds left. What's next? Well, we've got a lot of webinars that we have created, we put out there, and we want to encourage you guys to sign up for them. And we know they filled fast. Most of them, I think we might be sold out completely. So connect with us just in general. And Bill, if you'll type our web address in the chat window there, go to iSpeak.com, kind of check out what we've got going on there. We've got some great blogs that you can go read. One of our coworkers, Todd Zwisler, runs our podcast called Everyday Difference. And so you can subscribe to a podcast if you want to sit there and get a better sense of how to be more positive and communicate more effective. And so we recommend that. You go to our website, go to /blog. And if you want questions, if you want to look at doing a virtual class with your company, reach out to Dara Kukla. And for the next 6 weeks, are doing all of our classes virtually. We've been doing it. I look back, Darren and I talked about this yesterday. We've been doing it for 6 years. Dell was the very first customer that we started to deliver some virtual classes for. So we've got 6 years of experience delivering classes virtually. And if it's something that you're interested in doing, we've got an open enrollment that we're going to show you next. Or if it's something for your organization, reach out to Dara to do that. And so what I want to show you here as we're closing is that you can reach out and connect with Bill and I on LinkedIn. We'd love to connect with you. You'll also notice here that I want to bring up the website. If you go to iSpeak.com/virtual, you're going to see all the virtual workshops that we have coming up. They're open enrollment. So if it's just you and you want to take one of our classes, we've got visual storytelling, corporate storytelling, spontaneous presentations, and the corporate ovations presentations class that have seats available. The tools for influencing on May 18-19 has already sold out. So we would encourage you guys to sign up, continue to learn. And Bill, I want to say thanks. I'll let you wrap us up. But class and group, thank y'all so much for spending your time. I know your time is valuable. Thanks for spending your time with us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Kevin. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Hey, we're at home. We're trying to be productive. Make the most of it, group, and have a wonderful rest of the week. Thank you, group. Make a difference.